Hey guys, I'm Cobb from Project Ricochet. We're an open source web shop here in the Bay Area. We basically put together a blog of performance issues that we found with one of our internal apps that we launched, and we're actually launching as a beta this Friday. But we developed an app that was a resource scheduler for our team. And a large portion of our team is a distributed team, so we all need to be able to log in and see stuff as we're planning and moving it around and scheduling people and seeing how it's all going to fit together. So I don't know if you guys, I imagine you've run into the same problem, but you create your app, you're doing stuff with it and it works fine, and then you put it under load or you add more stuff into the DOM or whatever ends up happening, and then it just starts getting slower and slower and slower. And part of this is due to just the nature of Meteor. You may be doing stuff just not how it was intended or the Meteor way. Some of it may just be because you're cramming a bunch of stuff in the DOM, and that becomes especially a pain in mobile, which has a slower browser, or Internet Explorer, which is slower than Chrome or Firefox. So basically we compiled a list of just stuff that I'm going to go over with you real quick. I only have 3 minutes, so it's going to be fast. But if you want to explore it, go to projectricochet.com, and it's like one of the third or fourth oldest blogs. So the first thing is the overuse of sessions. So you can use sessions to set variables in Meteor. It's really super simple. You'll find examples on the web. And sometimes people are setting sessions and they're triggering to some Mongo entry or whatever. The problem with that is it's going to make whatever you're using with that session reactive. And if you want that, if you want everything to regenerate and dynamically move around when you change that session variable, that's great. But if you didn't intend that, you're going to have a lot of stuff regenerating that you didn't originally intend. So just make sure that you actually want to use regeneration, or you want that regenerative property if you're going to use Meteor sessions. I mean, you can just use JavaScript variables, as boring as it sounds, to use a lot of this stuff if you don't need the reactivity. The next thing is your collection.find. So I don't know if does anybody here have a PHP background? Anybody? So I do. In MySQL, you just grab everything and then you just kind of parse through it. The problem with that here is that if you grab everything, then whenever you make a change to anything, it's going to regenerate everything that depends on that. So obviously you don't want to do that. If you just want your IDs, just fetch your IDs and do what you want with those. If you want everything, you can still do that, but you can actually make your query non-reactive. You can just pass it and just say, I don't want this thing to be reactive, and then it won't be reactive. So that's kind of the name of the game. Just make sure that all this slick stuff that you're getting with Meteor that's really cool, that you know what you're buying in that particular instance. The next thing are templates. If you just make one gigantic template, that's really great. It's really easy. But Meteor wants you to make things super, super granular. And that way, when you update any particular element, it's just going to regenerate that particular sub-template of the template. So just make sure that you're getting things as granular as you can so that you're not regenerating the entire template every time you make one little change in one little place. And you can actually use, isolate to, if you do have a giant template, or even a smaller template that you want to break down individual pieces, you can isolate components so that Meteor tries to not regenerate the whole thing. So debugging, there are a couple tips that we encountered. Which templates are being reprocessed? Because we knew that when we made this app, there were certain things that were happening that it was just kind of flickering a bunch of stuff, and it's like, oh crap, what just happened? Right? So there are a couple ideas for this. The first thing is you can actually go through and put this snippet of code, and it's going to tell you which templates were re-rendered, and that's really powerful. And the next thing is you can actually put a callback on your find statement so that you can trigger some action to record that happened. And the final thing is, if you're really before I step off, if you're really at a kind of alert and you can't figure out what's going on or what templates are getting regenerated, go into Firebug, change the DOM, put some junk text in there, and then if something happens and you go back and that text is different, you know that was re-rendered. So you can trace that back to see what caused that. So feel free to check out the blog if you want to get into more details here, and I'm out of my 3 minutes. Any questions?